Hello everyone and welcome back to Unforgotten Tech. My name is Gregory Kraus and today we're going to be talking about tires. We're going to be using a Weaver tire machine and demonstrating how to properly remove a tire and install a tire on a rim. Now before we get started, I wanted to throw a shout out to Distant Hero. Thank you so much for requesting today's content on tires and installing it on the rim. Also, to everyone who's been involved in the comment section, I do appreciate everybody's feedback and it has been phenomenal to read everything from you all. So keep it up. Last, if you haven't subscribed to our channel yet, make sure to hit that subscribe button and the notification bell. That way you never miss any content. Tires are just as crucial as the engine when it comes to maintaining your car's safety and performance. At some point, however, tires will need to be removed from the wheels or rims. This can be because of needed tire repairs, inspections, or due to tire wear. Before we get started using the tire machine, let's go ahead and go over some key components of it. At the very top we have the swing arm, and attached to the swing arm is the hex shaft. The hex shaft has the hex shaft spring, the locking lever, and also attached to it is the mount and dismount head, otherwise known as the duck head. Below that on the right hand side, you're going to find the bead breaker arm. To the left of that, you'll find the turntable, which has the jaws or clamps attached to it. Below that, you're going to find the foot pedals. Alright, now before we get started removing a tire from the rim, let's go ahead and find out what the proper PPE and tools and equipment will be needed for this job. The PPE for this job will be safety glasses, closed-toed shoes, and be free of any loose or hanging hair, clothing, or jewelry. Tools and equipment for this job will be a tire lever, soap and water, a valve stem removal tool, and then a tire machine. The first step in removing a tire from the wheel will be to identify the type of wheel we have. The wheel or rim can come in many different materials. The common three are steel wheels, aluminum wheels, and chrome wheels. Depending on the type of wheel, extra caution and steps may be needed to ensure damage is not done to the wheel or rim. We will be using a steel wheel for this video. After we've determined the type of wheel, we can now remove the valve stem core to deflate the tire. Note that if the bead is broken with air still in the tire, serious injury or death can occur. After removing the valve stem core and while the pressure is deflating from the tire, we can now remove the wheel weights from the tire. This is done using the wheel weight pliers. With the tire deflated and the wheel weights removed, we can now break the bead. Breaking the bead refers to moving the tire's bead over the bead's rest on the rim. We will do this by using the bead breaker on the side of the machine. The bead breaker arm is controlled by the pedal on the far right. We do want to ensure the valve stem is away from the bead breaking tool, as it could have a tire pressure sensor and cause damage to the sensor. We will position the tool on the edge of the rim above the tire's bead. We will then go until the bead breaks over the bead rest on the entirety of the wheel and on both sides. Now that the bead is broken, we can place the tire on the turntable of the machine. This is done using the middle pedal. We will lay the tire down and press the pedal and allow the machine to lock the wheel into place. Now that the wheel is secure, we can now start to remove the tire. We want to make sure that the valve stem is positioned at the 12 o'clock position so that way we don't damage any tire sensors. We will then bring in the swing arm and position it on the edge of the rim's lip. Note that if we are dealing with a wheel such as chrome rims, we will want to install a protective piece on the head first. For this task, we will be using the tire lever and the mount dismount head or duck head. We will be positioning the tire lever on the duck head and using the end to scoop up the bead of the tire. We want to make sure that the tool is positioned in the middle of the duck head and that we bring the tire above the duck head. Now we can rotate the tire 360 degrees clockwise using the left foot pedal by pressing it down. The tire tool may be stuck and will loosen up, allowing it to be removed as the tire rotates. We will then scoop the bottom bead with the tire lever. This will require that the tire be lifted up and allowed to fall into the tire drop down to allow more movement of the tire's bead. We will position the side above the duck head and rotate the machine clockwise again. We have now successfully removed the tire from the wheel. After completing the needed work, we can now reinstall the new tire or reinstall the old tire depending on what work was needed. To do this, we will first use a generous amount of soap and water. As a rule of thumb, always put more soap on water than needed than less. Now we will position the tire on the side of the wheel and allow the swing arm to move back in. We will then position the tire above the ducktail and below the duck head. During the installation, we will want to position the valve stem at the 6 o'clock position to prevent damage to the tire pressure sensor. Now we can rotate the tire while using our hands to guide the tire on. We will then drop the top bead onto the wheel. We will position the tire again above the ducktail and below the duck head. For this specific run, we will need to apply pressure to the sidewall of the tire, dropping it down into the wheel's drop down. This will allow the tire more room to go over the lip and wheel and prevent any damage to the bead. Now that we have the tire on the wheel, we will need to air it up. While the tire is still secure on the turntable, we will hook up the pressure hose to the valve stem. We will then press the lever all the way down to its second position while holding the tire on its tread and pulling slightly up. Once the tire starts to inflate, we can ease up on the pedal to the first position. This will continue to inflate the tire but stop the air jets. We will then fill with air until both the bottom and top beads set. You should hear an audible pop sound for each of them. During this, make sure that the tire pressure never exceeds 40 psi. As this can result in tire failure and possible damage, injury, or death. After the beads are set, we can install the valve stem core. We do this after setting the bead, so that way it will allow a greater amount of airflow into the tire. With the valve stem core reinstalled, we can now re-hook up the pressure hose. The tire pressure gauge on the side will direct you to the proper pressure. However, it only reads when the foot pedal is not depressed. Check periodically to ensure proper tire pressure is reached. If the proper tire pressure is exceeded, stop inflating and use the pressure relief button to remove the proper amount of air. Now we have successfully remounted our tire and set it to the proper tire pressure. The last step will be to balance your tire. If you'd like to learn more about balancing tires, please check out our video on tire balancing. All right, just to recap, today we learned about how to remove a tire and reinstall a tire on a rim using a Weaver tire machine. Well, my name's Gregory Krause from Unforgotten Tech. I want to thank each and every one of you for joining us today. And remember, be strong, believe, be unforgotten.